All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Humanizing Your Brand webinar series presented by Online Optimism. I'm your host, Sam Olmstead, and throughout this series, you'll be learning how to connect with your audience, build trust with your customers, and grow your organization by creating a more human brand with a more personal touch. Each week, we are featuring industry-leading experts who have proven track records in insider information that will help reshape your brand's focus and your core messaging. Before we get started, let's discuss the format of this webinar. Each speaker will present for about 20 minutes, and we'll have a 20-minute Q&A for both presenters when both presentations are complete. So please feel free to participate as much as possible. Drop your questions in the Q&A chat at the bottom of the screen. If there are questions about the format or the process of the webinar, we can try and answer those as they come up. But if there are questions about the actual content, we're going to hold those and read them aloud at the end of both presentations, where I will facilitate that Q&A. As your host, I have muted all of the attendees throughout the webinar to cut down on any background noise. But again, please feel free to participate and talk in the chat as we go. Last thing is we'll be posting this webinar online as a recording, so we will make sure you have all the information to retrieve that after it's done. And we'll make that link available to everyone. So let's get started. This is our 5th week of the Humanizing Your Brand webinar series, and I'm so pleased to introduce our first speaker today. Rafael Maldonado Jr. is a creative entrepreneur, strategist, and storyteller. He currently serves as Chief Creative Officer at IPCOMM agency, helping brands establish effective strategies to clarify message and grow their business. In 2018, he founded IT Media Collective, LLC, an Atlanta-based production company specializing in purpose-driven video campaigns, which serves as the in-house production company for IPCOMM agency. Since beginning his creative career in 2014, Rafael has added scriptwriting, voiceover work, drone piloting, and creative direction to his portfolio. Rafael is passionate about using stories as a vehicle to uplift the good in our world. Known for his collaborative mentality, energetic spirit, and community service, he believes his greatest mission in life is to show us all how stories truly do connect. So take it away, Rafael.
All righty, good morning. How's everybody doing? I know I can't hear you, but it's a good question to ask anyway. Let me go ahead and start sharing my presentation, and we'll get this thing kicked off. All right. Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for the invite. Being invited to participate in a webinar series called Humanize Your Brand is an honor, because I really feel like at the end of the day, this is the purpose of the work that we do. So thank you, Online Optimism and Flynn and everybody at the Humanize Your Brand team. It's been a great experience up to this point. And I hope that today, with these 20 minutes that we have here, we can really take advantage and try to simplify this mythic perspective many people have on what storytelling is. And for me, it's very important, coming from the production and branding space, to highlight how we can be strategic through the stories that we tell to uplift our communities, to communicate what we do, but ultimately to foster an authentic relationship built on trust. So thank you. I'm excited to go ahead and start. If you're here, you might be in marketing or in branding and communications. You might have your own company. But if there's one thing that I know that we share as entrepreneurs, it's answering the following question. And that is, do you need help defining what your message is? Are you not resonating like you want to, or are you feeling like you want to build stronger connection and community with the people that you serve? I'm here to tell you that stories is the way for us to do that. And so I just want to start off in good storytelling fashion with a quick story. So I just want you guys to just imagine a hitchhiker. All right. There's a hitchhiker. They're on a journey. It's been a long time that they've been hiking on the side of the road, just waiting for someone to come pick them up. They're disheveled. Their feet hurt. They're hungry. They probably smell a little bit, and they haven't showered in a minute. But all they're looking for is someone to come pick them up and help them get them to their destination. And so after hours of cars flying by this hitchhiker, finally, the hitchhiker begins to hear cars slowing down. Okay, so the car starts to slow down, and anxiously the hitchhiker turns to listen to what the driver has to say. And the driver puts the window down, and the first thing he says is, "Did you know that this car was built in 1975? Did you know that this steering wheel is limited edition? That the bed of my truck has 2 feet larger and I'm riding on 24-inch wheels?" Now, to the dismay of the hitchhiker, unfortunately, they're let down because the only thing that the hitchhiker wants to know is, can you get me to my destination or not? And this at its core is the fundamental issue that we have as communicators and marketers in the modern space. It's just that we always focus on ourselves and we don't really address the real issues that our clients have. They just want to know at the end of the day, can you get me to my destination or not? And we see this repeated over and over again by the anxiety provoking question of, what do you do? Right? And this happens all the time. And so what I want to try to impart on you all today is to try and show you why stories work, how they're structured, and how you can do them, how you can communicate them in the most effective way to help build that trust and show your audience that you're the solution for their problem. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. So why do stories work? At the core, as humans, we have a primitive instinct to look for solutions that help us survive and thrive. As much as we say, as we care about this world, innately in our deepest parts of us, what we want to do is look for safety and fulfillment, or anything along the spectrum, right? So as communicators, we have to know that human beings are constantly scanning the environment for information that's going to help them meet that need. So if you think about it, if you start with the hitchhiker story and you're only worried about how you are actually fulfilling or what you're doing to fulfill that, then you might be missing the true focus of what your story could be, which is, hey, this is your problem and this is how I'm going to help you solve your problem. So if you're not communicating in a way that's showing how people can survive, achieve some type of aspirational identity, find love, down to the most core basic functions of helping people find food and shelter and drink, right? This is something that we all need to help us survive. But innately in our culture, in our society, more often than not, thankful for the blessings that we have. We're not always looking for just shelter. We're looking for protection. We're looking for aspire to success. We're looking to thrive, or we're looking to, take our business to the next level. And so obviously, one of the things that we really view as consumers of the content that this world inundates us with is we want to know, do they actually understand me? Do they actually reflect the values that I reflect? And if you really boil it all down, that's just identification. People want to be able to see themselves in your story, right? When your story only is about you, they're wondering, why should I pay attention? I only have a limited amount of space and information that I can process. If this isn't helping me, then it's probably not worth my time. So that in its core has been referred to as many different things. It can be called a community. It can be called a tribe, the understanding of a like-minded community, connection, fellowship, inclusivity, all these concepts that float around in the space. But at their core, they're just people wanting to see themselves as the hero of their story. And so as the person who's creating your story, one of the easiest ways to build trust is to hold a mirror up to your audience, right? Your story should reflect the audience's experience of their everyday life. Because so often in this space, what many people opt to do is to try to impress their clients, right? They want to impress them. They want to show them how amazing they are. They want to show them the latest tips and gadgets that they have. But at the end of the day, if we're not reflecting the real experiences of the people that we serve, then we're missing out. And like this, image shows you, people want to be understood, right? They don't always necessarily want to be impressed. And so knowing that the way to do that is to build trust, we know that storytelling is centuries, millennium old, a strategy that we have used as humans to evolve over time to help us communicate, to learn, to entertain, to provide that interest and attract our customers to us. And so a good story can take a series of random events and distill them down into the essence of what really matters. And one of our biggest obstacles that our production company encounters, that our branding agency sees all the time, is that we have two big obstacles when people try to overcome this hurdle in their communication. And that is, they either have a lack of focus or they have excessive noise. So lack of focus is you're not highlighting the parts about you that truly identify and help your audience overcome their challenges. Or on the flip side, you give them so much information that they have analysis paralysis and they don't really understand exactly what it is that you do. So if I boiled it down to one sentence, I'd say, if you confuse, you lose, right? So you don't want to be confused. You want to be very streamlined with your communications. And, for example, in the production space, we have what's called the final cut, and movies have a final cut, right? And the entire point of that cut is it's a result of trimming off all the unnecessary pieces of the story to help streamline the experience of our customers, right? So many times in movies, let's say the Jason Bourne, the Bourne Identity, right? Now this person has to overcome all these challenges to accomplish their goal. But if along the way he's trying to lose weight, or he's in the gym, or he's dealing with some other irrelevant issues, we're going to lose interest. So we have to be concise about what our communications include and what they exclude. So let's dive into story. Let's understand it a little bit better. And I really wanted to simplify it as much as possible for our audience today, because 20 minutes isn't a whole lot of time for a timeless concept. But at the core, what every story has is 3 elements. All right. The first element is a character, a protagonist, a hero. All right. And they have some type of goal that they're looking to achieve. And along the way of that goal comes a problem. And it's this relationship of the hero overcoming the problem and trying to accomplish the goal that innately connects every single story that we have, these 3 fundamental pieces, right? And so if we can showcase a story of the hero overcoming the problem and accomplishing the goal, then we have enough to truly hook people and bring them into our story. Right? So let's go a little bit deeper, and I will answer the $1 million question, which is, when do I talk about my company? All right. So let's focus on the first thing, the hero. Okay. So the hero is your customer. It's not your brand. All right. Our goal as communicators should be to have such a clear understanding of who our audience is, right? Some people call it your target audience, your customer profile, your buying persona, your avatar, whatever it is. The more details and nuances that you understand about what your clients want, what they fear, what excites them, how they act, the way they speak, all these things are going to allow us to create a story around a character or a hero that our audiences can see and feel connected to. Right? Our goal is not for people to see our communications and feel like they're not identified. Our goal is for them to look at it and say, yes, that's me. I experienced that. And so what are they experiencing? That's our problem. So the problem is your hook, right? The problem is the thing that helps you pull in and persuade your audiences to actually care and hear about maybe a solution that can help, right? But if we lead with our solution and we lead with ourselves, people oftentimes they tune out. So if we can show the hero, if they can identify themselves in our story, and we can address a problem that maybe they don't even know they have, which could be an external problem. They don't have the resources. They don't have the knowledge. It can be an internal problem. They don't have the knowledge, or it can be just a philosophical problem. Can I even overcome this challenge, right? That ability for us to communicate that is going to make them say, okay, they understand me and they understand my problem. Now I'm interested to figure out if they can provide me a solution. So the more that we show our customer their own problems, the more interest they're going to have in our brand. All right. So again, the more that we show the customer their own problems, the more interest they're going to have in their brand. All right. And so if we have this ability to communicate in a way that helps them identify that problem, then we're on a great chance to suck them into the end of the story. All right. And the end of the story is obviously the goal. And so this dynamic of this relationship, we can see it across all different types of stories that we encounter on a daily basis. Now, most people, they associate things with like movies, but we tell ourselves a story every day. Are we going to overcome the problems in our lives to accomplish our goal? And if you think about it from that perspective, what we really want is someone to help us overcome that. And that's where our challenge comes in. So let's look at a modern day example of one of my favorite shows in the history of the world, which is Game of Thrones. And this dynamic is seen, like I said, in every form of storytelling, of true stories. There's always a hero, in this case, Daenerys Targaryen, who's trying to become, the queen of the 7 kingdoms, but there's a problem. And that is all of the people that are in the way, all the kingdoms, all the villains, all the obstacles that she has to overcome to ultimately get there. And this is an award-winning show that went on for 7 seasons with this one dynamic of, is this girl going to accomplish her goal and overcome these problems? All right. So in a nutshell, that's what story is. So let's get to the $1 million question. But when do I talk about my company? If we have this dynamic, You might be saying, Rafael, sounds amazing. Okay, there's a hero, there's a problem, and they're trying to accomplish a goal. But I'm trying to sell my services. So when do I talk about me, right? And that's this mythical figure that usually appears in almost all types of stories of this journey that our customers, that the protagonist, that the hero has to undergo, and that is a guide. All right, a guide with a plan. All right, so if you think about it, a hero is dealing with all types of challenges, right? If they didn't have a problem, then it wouldn't be a story. So clearly they don't have the answer to their problem, because if they did, it wouldn't be a problem. So we have to insert ourselves as the guide who has a plan, because people trust somebody with a plan, right? And so whether it's a plan or a process or a technology to help them overcome this goal, we have to be able to showcase that, because heroes, believe it or not, they're not looking for other heroes. They're looking for that guidance. They're looking for a plan. Whether they know it or not is our ability to showcase who they are, what that problem is, and what they want, and show them, hey, actually, I can help you. I have this solution. I've dealt with people who have this problem. And so, for example, here we have a Star Wars reference of Yoda coming with the plan of the Force. You need to use the Force. There's this technology. There's this plan for you to be able to use it effectively. And this may seem like an interesting dynamic, but the reason is that most of us really want to be the heroes of our own story, right? So we got to flip that script when we're the communicator and make the hero our audience, because ultimately we want to showcase that we have the most authority, right? Like I said, the hero is dealing with a lot of internal problems, insecurity, not knowing if they can achieve this. There's a lack in some way. And so for us to position ourselves as the authority and introduce a solution, we're actually coming from a place of power, right? We're actually coming from a place of value to say, I understand you, and here's a solution that can help you. And we see this dynamic across all types of communications, right? Here's just some pop culture references to show this one character and how they come in and introduce themselves to the hero who needs to overcome a struggle and help them on that mission to accomplish it, right? So how do we communicate? The $1 million question. We have to lead with two core philosophies, right? 4 avenues, right? And that is empathy and authority, right? Empathy sounds like, hey, you know what? We understand what you're going through, okay? We understand this experience that you have. Nobody should have to experience that. We feel your pain. We understand where you're coming from. And then on the flip side, what all of us usually lead with is why should we listen, right? By the time that someone has identified themselves in our story and they've seen that we understand their problem, and we know that they know that we have a solution to help them, then the next question becomes the question we think that they start with, is why should I work with you? And that solution is where we're going to use our testimonials, our statistics, our awards, the other companies that we work with, our experience. That's the moment for that communication. So again, here's our dynamic, right? We have the hero, the problem, a guide with a plan, and a goal. And there's 2 ways for us to communicate this now. Like I said, you don't need the guide in every story, but if we want to use our communication strategically, that's how we're going to impress upon our clients, right? That's how we're going to communicate with them. And so there's different ways for us to do that. Let's add some different layers as well. Okay, you have a plan with a guide. So there's 2 ways to approach it. The first way is to show that with this plan, you're going to achieve a life past your goal. So once you accomplish your goal, what does your life look like after? I want to show you that as a communicator. I want to show you, hey, this is what success looks like, and let me help you get there, because it is possible. And we work with people just like you to get there. Or on the flip side, you want to help them avoid failure, right? I use this analogy as imagine a runner who has to overcome hurdles, right? We can either put a bunch of donuts at the end that maybe they love donuts and they want to go run and go get that, or we can show them that there's a group of pit bulls behind them who are barking at them. So we can encourage them to begin the journey of overcoming the problem to accomplish their goal, right? And we see this across branding all over. And these are just some examples of very simple companies that we are inundated with on a constant basis. So in Georgia, we have Kroger, Whole Foods, and Trader Joe's. All of them are grocery stores, but they have this different way of telling their story, right? Kroger is going to show you the success. If you see their campaigns and you see their little caricatures that they're using, they're showing you that the value that the customer want is low prices. So let's show them that success. Come to us and we'll give you low prices. right? Whole Foods on the flip side is going to show you what you need to avoid and why you should avoid it. Hey, you should probably avoid these overly processed foods. They're not healthy for you. So instead of saying, hey, we have all healthy food, they come the opposite way. Hey, avoid overly processed foods. And then Trader Joe's, who plays off of Whole Foods and says, hey, avoid the Whole Foods prices. We got the best prices, right? So this is a very easy dynamic that we can implement to tell our stories strategically. And, with that in mind, this is the framework that I want to impress upon you all, is to really identify what these different aspects are for your brand, right? So who is your audience? How can you overcome that problem? What problem do they have? Show them that you're a guide with a plan that can help them accomplish their goal and achieve success or avoid failure. Okay. And so I'm going to show you a real life example of how we have done this for one of our clients. Through video production. And one of the powers of storytelling is that you can use it in all types of communications. You can use it in print, in your copy on your website, brochures. You can use it in your video communications on social media, whatever it is that you want to use. You can use this same dynamic to help communicate the value that you have, right? So let's play a quick game. And that is, actually, now that I remember, I need to reshare so that I can share my audio. Just give me 1 second so you guys can hear it. It told me, hey, you're supposed to do this. Should have listened. All right, here we go. Cool. So I want to show you guys an example and see if you can identify any of the key factors that I just brought up to you, the elements of this story. All right, so just stay tuned and we'll chat after.
I think every patient is my motivation. I believe that every patient that comes to us comes into our path because we have the ability to help them. The patients that come to me are the patients that have the greatest challenges. It's a responsibility, but we enjoy it. Georgia Prosthodontics is a team that I have been putting together. We are not trying to fit a template. So each patient is going to be different. Whatever works best in your case, that's what we want to give you. We're experts on providing solutions for missing teeth. And as an expert, we'll have not one, not two, but we have to have multiple solutions for us to actually provide a tooth restoration. Excellence is not an outcome, it's a habit. And that's what we try to do every day with every case and every patient.
Alrighty, so could you identify the hero? Could you identify the obstacle, who the guide was, what success means, and the plan to accomplish it? Well, I've basically outlined it for you so we can watch this again. And now let's see how those play.
I think every patient is my motivation. I believe that every patient that comes to us comes into our path because we have the ability to help them. The patients that come to me are the patients that have the greatest challenges. It's a responsibility, but we enjoy it. Georgia Prosthodontics is a team that I have been putting together. We are not trying to fit a template. So each patient is going to be different. Whatever works best in your case, that's what we want to give you. We're experts on providing solutions for missing teeth. And as an expert, we'll have not one, not two, but we have to have multiple solutions for us to actually provide a tooth restoration. Excellence is not an outcome, it's a habit. And that's what we try to do every day with every case and every patient.
So there it is. I hope that what I could share with you today made a lot of sense to be able to strategically tell a story that connects with an audience and builds trust. If I have to leave you with the final slide, that would be this one, right? Define your character. right? And their goals. Highlight their challenges that they're facing. Show them what the life without that challenge looks like, or show them what not making a decision results in. Introduce yourself as a guide with a plan and call them to action to become the hero in their own story. And lastly, brace yourself, because your authentic community will be built one story at a time. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We've also included a document that you guys can use to fill out your own brand story. And so, once you identify your story, then you're going to need to communicate it, captivate it, display it, and create the content around it. So if you guys need help, we're happy to help you guys. And thanks again to the Humanize Your Brand webinar series. I look forward to the Q&A. Thank you.
Wow, thanks so much for that presentation, Rafael. I really found it insightful, and also kind of rethinking how every movie I've ever watched played out. So definitely going to impact the way I read stories and tell stories now. Okay, so just a quick reminder that if you have any questions for Rafael, please put them in the Q&A chat at the bottom of the screen, and we will collect those, ask them aloud at the end of the presentation. It'll be a nice little interactive Q&A session. So thank you again, Rafael. Now we're going to move on to our next speaker, Meara McNitt, who is going to talk about using TikTok for your brand and how it can help humanize your company. So before she starts, let's get to know Meara a bit more. Meara McNitt is a senior social media strategist at Online Optimism. Meara develops content across social media platforms for businesses in varying industries. Along with writing Facebook posts, tweets, Instagram captions, and more, she manages clients' digital communities and runs social advertising campaigns. She's constantly analyzing data and interactions to optimize her clients' pages. Meara holds certifications from a variety of platforms, including Sprout Social, Snapchat, and Facebook, keeping her on the leading edge of social understanding. Take it away, Meara.
All right, hello. Let me share my screen real quick so we can get to my presentation. And this is TikTok, so we're definitely optimizing for video. All right, so today let's TikTok. We're going to use TikTok for your brand's humanization. A little bit about me. So I have been doing digital marketing for over 4 years now. And at the time I see over 25 social media channels. And a little fun fact is that I am an avid fan of the Calgary Flames hockey team up in Canada, but I have lived here in New Orleans my entire life. That one usually sends people for a loop. And rather than having like a picture introducing myself, I thought that we would get straight to the point and show a TikTok. I joined TikTok in January 2019, but in December of 2020, I started a book talk account where I talk exclusively about books, reading, do reviews and all that. And so this is a video that I put up recently that the community really liked. So I thought y'all might like it too. That was it. Okay. So what is TikTok? Let's go through the basics for anyone who isn't aware. You've probably heard of it. You think of it as this like Gen Z high schoolers dancing, like Charli D'Amelio, like all that kind of stuff. It's more than just dancing. TikTok has the news. People share their recipes. There's doctors giving healthcare advice. People talk about books. There's dog training tips and just cute videos of dogs. There's behind the scenes of businesses, movies, pop stars, everyone and anyone is on there. There's fashion tips. There's how to style things that you already have. There's how to flip things like your grandmother's old dresses. And then you have explanations on all of life's weird questions, mostly due to Hank Green, who has become a little bit of a TikTok star. But mostly TikTok is different from most any other social media platform right now. So who is on it? You probably think, like I said, it's just Gen Z, it's just young people. No way. So you can see here that they have 80 million monthly users. Shifts, it's pretty even, shifts a little bit female. 60% between the ages of 16 and 24. So that gives you your top of Gen Z and a little bit of your cuspers. But 26, a quarter are between the ages of 25 and 44. And then still 7% is over the age of 50. So still over 5 million people over the age of 50 using TikTok. And you have to consider that these are just the accounts. A lot of the times there's also parents going on their teenagers' accounts to see what they're seeing. So even if it's saying that, oh, this user is 16, you might have a middle-aged woman actually going on the account. And so in January of this year, TikTok reported that they had 22.2 million mobile unique visitors over the age of 18. So that's people with buying power. And you can see here on the right that these are some of the big brands that you can find on TikTok. I try to go with a little bit of variety. So Ulta Beauty, so they're selling things, T-Mobile, which is a service, Bumble, which is a dating app, and even Bissell vacuum cleaners. So anything all the way down to as boring as a vacuum cleaner can be on TikTok. We're going to do some definitions real quick. So these are words that I might throw out there, and I want to make sure that everyone knows what they are. So the For You page is the page that you actually open up TikTok, and it's the one that you are scrolling through. On Facebook, we call it a timeline. On Instagram, we call it a feed. Same thing here. TikTok is the For You page, or the FYP. But don't call it the FYP. We call it the For You page here. A stitch is when you take a part of someone else's video and then attach yours onto it. It is an in-app feature. And then a duet is when your video appears next to someone else's at the same time, also an in-app feature. And then a mutual is when two accounts are following each other. So you're like friends, you're mutuals. All right, so let's talk about memes and trends. This is the big thing about what TikTok is. It is all about following memes and following trends and starting trends. So there's two different kinds of ways that you might see a meme on TikTok. So the first, we're going to go with the very simple, which is an audio meme. So a sound will happen. Someone will either like just make a video themselves or maybe upload part of something that they thought was interesting. So that gives us our starter sound.
I've got not one, not two. Oh no, it is two. I've got two.
Okay, so people will hear that and they'll be like, oh, wait, I can do something with this. So this sound evolved into people making fun of themselves for the most part.
I've got not one, not two. Oh no, it is two. I've got not.
So that's actually Hank Green, who I mentioned has been the like CEO of random information and explanations on TikTok. And so you can see he still participates in the memes. But how can you apply this to your brand or your business? Well, so here we see an author who she has 2 books. So she's using this audio to emphasize and promote her books.
I've got not one, not two. Oh no, it is two. I've got two.
Okay, so now we understand audio memes, but ogres are like onions and TikTok is like ogres because they all have layers. So this is more of a like knowledge meme. Like you have to know things to understand the layers to these memes that I'm about to show you. So the first thing you need to know is that Gen Z has decided that they feel, or they've discovered, I didn't get to try this. This didn't evolve until after I got my vaccine. But if you get your vaccine and you like rotate your arm afterwards, you don't feel any pain. You don't get any of that soreness. So this first person that I'm going to show you, they were not the original person posting about it, but they were one of the first ones. So this is the first layer of the meme.
Yeah, you got me begging, baby, please don't go.
Okay, so that's what they do. And then, so if you know about that, and then you know about the fact that Dolly Parton funded the Moderna research, you would understand this next one.
But the boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me.
So then if you understand the motion, and if you understand the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so you're a Marvel fan, it's probably showing up on your For You page, you would probably know the character Bucky Barnes, who has a metallic arm. He does this like little arm motion to like get it into place, and he wears a mask. So then you would understand this meme with that knowledge combined. So you can see that just that little arm motion, he didn't do the whole swing, but just that little bit, everyone instantly knows the joke that he's making. So as memes filter through TikTok, they get more subtle, they get either diluted, they get altered. People might change the audio to do different things. So you have like a starting point. And if you're not on TikTok for like 24 hours, you might miss like 3 evolutions of the meme. All right. So everyone has assumptions about TikTok, more than just the dancing one. So let's go through some of them and the truths behind them. So you probably think that you have to have high quality video. You have to have like some kind of production team. The reality is that underproduced does really well on TikTok. And that's what's so good about it for humanizing your brand is you really just want to be raw and genuine and like your regular self. You don't need to have this like high polished, great high gloss look. People really value that authenticity of a raw, like iPhone captured video. Unlike Instagram, where, you know, it's face tuning, filtering, is more of like a great presentation of yourself. TikTok is not. The things that you really need is just like a phone with a decent camera and some like decent lighting. So that could just be standing in front of a window or standing outside. Just none of that, like, you know, yellow lights in the school hallway kind of thing. And then if you want to go next level, you could like buy a $30 ring light off of Amazon. But so to prove this point, here are 2 videos from my book talk. The one on the right, you see, got 1,000 views. That's not a lot. I had a whole backdrop behind me. I had like appropriate lighting. So basically I had like a whole photography kind of setup. Only got 1,000 views. The one on the left, I'm literally laying in my bed in a blanket hoodie, yelling at the camera about how I want to be reading my book, but for some reason I'm on TikTok, and I got 154,000 views. This was posted, I think, in January, and it is literally still circulating the For You page. So it's about what kind of good content you're putting out, not necessarily like the quality of the visuals. You're afraid that you won't be able to find your audience, but the TikTok algorithm will do that for you. It is genius. It's brilliant. So it uses location services to put people, so like when I'm in Louisiana, I see a lot of Louisiana things. So I travel to Texas, I start seeing a lot of Texas TikToks. The hashtags that you use are very important. If you are subtitling your video, which you should, when you put that text natively into TikTok, it actually uses that to help categorize your video. The content that you are engaging with often indicates what kind of content you are putting out. And then also the people who engage with your content also helps them categorize it. So the more that you post, the better understanding that they have of who your audience is and what your content is about, and the easier it is for people to find you. And so in that, most experts recommend actually posting 2 to 3 times a day if you're trying to grow your account. If you're an influencer, if you got a ton of followers, you can do whatever you want. But while you're growing your account, 2 to 3 times a day is really what the algorithm likes to see from you. On this point of hashtags and finding your content, so TikTok is full of niches. These are often referred to as like something talk or something TikTok. So here are some examples. These are all hashtags from those niches. So book talk, 6.5 billion views of the hashtag of book talk. Dog talk has 61.2. Swift talk, these are Taylor Swift fans. Prison TikTok, it's a real thing. People in prison on TikTok, it's very interesting. I've learned how they charge their phones, they do dances, they start trends. That has 842.2 million views. Plant talk, people posting about their plants. Even lawyer TikTok. So you can see from prisoners to lawyers, everywhere across the spectrum, there's a niche in TikTok. You think that you should focus on your ads, and that's actually a huge mistake. TikTok themselves say, don't make ads, make TikToks. That's basically meaning that the ads that look the most like TikToks perform the best. If you can tell that it's an ad, people are going to scroll right past it. And you also don't even have to pay for it because the algorithm can reward you. If you have a video take off, you don't need to pay for it. It'll just go. The For You page will do it for you. And I've done a lot of research into this, and a lot of ad agencies are actually choosing to run influencer campaigns first. So they are paying TikTokers to post natively on the account, and then they will either take that video and run it then as an ad, so it naturally looks like an actual TikTok, or they're using that to understand how people on the platform will talk about whatever their product is. So you don't want to come in there and be like, oh, I know what TikTokers want. No, pay a TikToker. They know what their followers want, and then follow their lead for how to talk about your product or your brand. And again, make sure it looks like something that would naturally show up on the For You page. And the biggest fear that I think people have is that you think you have nothing to say. There's something that you can bring to TikTok, but you really do. And this is a lot of where the humanization is. So I've put out 4 questions here that you can really reflect on to think about, like, okay, if I were to make my brand a TikTok, what would I do? Like, what would be in the videos? But think about it. You already have expert knowledge. Your brand provides a service. So what is that service, and how can you talk to people about it? What do people want to know about it? What questions are you asking? How can you answer those in advance? What are your mission, vision, and values, and how can you communicate those to others? And it's all about making it into digestible 1 minute bites. So I have some examples here about how 3 very different businesses have been able to take those 4 questions and memes, trends, the different things we've talked about so far, and turn them into videos that were successful. All of these had at least a couple, at least 10,000 views for sure. So this first one, they focused on their mission, vision, and values, and they used a meme to communicate them.
No.
So that is a sustainable store. And they were able to show, you know what, we have these values and you can't stop us. This next one is actually they're based in New Orleans. They are a glass recycling group. It was started by some college students who realized that New Orleans doesn't really recycle glass. They have over 200,000 followers on TikTok right now. And this video is just like a simple behind the scenes. They just put together some of their clips over some music and some text. Easy peasy. Oh no, let's try that again.
Walking on a dream. How can I explain? Talking to myself. Will I see again? We are always running for the thrill of it. Always pushing up the hill, searching for the thrill of it. All that we are.
So you can see they didn't have a camera crew out there. They didn't have lighting rigs. Someone with their phone was just capturing what they were doing and they put it all together. And then this last one is actually from a fertility clinic. And you got to think, like, what could a fertility clinic have to do on TikTok? But they were just sharing a good real life moment that makes people happy.
Hello?
Nima,
Yes,
where's your girl?
he's right here.
Get her on the line, buddy.
Here.
Are you there, Carly?
Yeah, I'm here, doctor.
You're pregnant! Oh, congratulations!
So again, nothing fancy. Someone literally just grabbed their phone and recorded this great moment and it really took off. So who should be making the TikToks? If you've decided that, yeah, a TikTok would be great for expanding your brand, getting it out there to people, really emphasizing who you are as a company, who's going to make it? Here's a few things. It has to be a person. This is why I think that TikTok is the most human platform out there, because Twitter is words, Instagram is pictures, but pictures of whatever you want. Facebook, words and pictures, but TikTok is videos. That means that, sure, you could just have a close-up of a hand or like some like going over some art or something, but for the most part, you're going to have someone in front of the camera. There has to be a person connected to your account. So if you're trying to pick that person, it needs to be someone who knows TikTok and spends time on it, because like I said, they got to know those memes. And it should be someone that you're comfortable having as the face of your brand. And I say this because on the right, we have two TikTok accounts by verified brands. One is Totino's, like the pizza rolls. This is their social media person who runs their TikTok. She shows up in a lot of their videos. So obviously you can recognize, all right, that is now the TikTok face of Totino's. And then also below we have Dave of the Washington Post. He's actually one of the pioneers of a brand being on TikTok. And I think he's probably the only person working at the Washington Post that millions of people can name. All right, so engagement in your community. This is a big part about TikTok. Social media brands love to emphasize, or platforms love to emphasize, that they're about community. And TikTok really is. So first of all, let's talk about the engagement cycle. So there's a theory that the For You page is developed to keep people on the app. Obviously, that's how all these algorithms work. Real quick, and I can explain how that works, is that basically TikTok shows you videos in sets of 8. It analyzes how you interact with those videos, and then it shows you more based on the ones you like best out of those 8. It shows you another 8, and you keep going down through this cycle. So that's how you get into the niches. But there's also an engagement cycle that's given to creators. So you can see here, I took my own account and I took the Totino's Pizza Rolls account. Very different sizes, very different subjects, but you can see that we both kind of go through the same thing, where we get a video with a big spike in views, and then you kind of dip, and then you go back to another spike. And it's this kind of like reward and tease kind of cycle. So I got 163,000 views, and I got 1,200, and then 1,000, and then 17,000, and then 2,500. Totino's does the same thing, where they have 107,000, 37,000, 14,000, 1.8 million. So that encourages creators to keep pushing things out, because you're like, oh, maybe this next one, maybe this next one. So it actually hooks us all in, right? And then you can use TikTok to build community in two different ways. So on the left, we have another book talker who you can see that she's replying to every person who has commented on her video. She's making this a space where they feel safe, they feel valued, they feel welcome, so that those people are going to follow her, they're going to come back with her, they're going to keep engaging with her, they're going to send their friends to her, and they're going to drive up her video's value to the For You page. And then on the right, so this woman in the video, she's talking about how she was out for a run in the park and she's wearing a Steelers sweatshirt. And she told a random man basically that she is dating Juju, who is one of the players on the Steelers football team. And so the Steelers totally missed an opportunity. They did not comment on this video that you see has 1.3 million likes. But instead the Panthers took their opportunity and they said, can we send you a Panthers hoodie? That is a great way. One, it's funny, it's trolling, but it's a great way to build community and show the people. 76.2 thousand people liked that reply. And then also Juju himself commented that got 115,000 likes. So not only is putting out your videos out there part of building your community, but also engaging with those around you. And you can see that the Steelers missed this opportunity, right, to lean into their community. And that's really important, is the people that are already out there supporting your brand or the industry that you're in or something that you care about, those are your people and you want to lean into them. So I'm going to tell you a personal story about how that benefited both me and someone else. So like I said, I run a book talk. I post reviews of the books that I read. So the video all the way to the left is me reviewing a duology that I read. It was not popular at all at the time. I had never heard of it before, but I had picked it up because I liked the covers. And I am crying. It ended very sadly. I'm crying. Blew up. People loved it. And I posted several more videos about the books. That's not the only one. And so the author, one of her friends saw my video and was like, hey, this girl's like really promoting your book. So she made a TikTok. She got on and then she made a video herself and she basically told everyone like, hi, I'm trying to reach Meara. Meara, ever since you started talking about my books, sales have gone up. Barnes and Nobles are featuring my books. And I really want to thank you. So this is where we have a duet, like I said, where you put two videos next to each other. So I duetted her, be like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. And then she sent me 3 packages about her books. So I did an unboxing on TikTok, which is the 3rd video. And then in the comments of that video, you can see that people are saying like, this has convinced me to read this book sooner. Someone said that they decided to read these just because they love to see an author that loves their fans. So I was already supporting her and she decided to show me some extra love, which made her look really good as a person and an author. So that benefited both of us. So the real key for what you should be doing when making your videos is keep doing what works. If you make a video and you're like, you get a lot of positive feedback or engagement, do that kind of video again. Like my reviews are some of my best received videos. So I make sure I post a lot of reviews, but also try new things because sure, what you're doing works, but something else might work better. So make sure to work at a lot of those things that are doing well for you, but also throw in other stuff because you want to show that you're multifaceted as an organization and a brand. Because remember, this is about humanizing you. This is about showing you off in a way that isn't stale. It's not scrolling through a feed. It's not perfected images and heavily revised copy. It is, here is us in a video, maybe even literally crying because like you saw, I did that. So a lot of people like to know about the analytics of their platforms. So we'll talk about that real quick, is just that TikTok does have analytics if you make a creator account. It shows you views, followers, all that kind of stuff, but you don't have any tracking. It is very much a top of the funnel platform. It's very much awareness based. But if you do want to have some more conversion tracking, you can always set up a link tree and do a campaign URL builder, which at least can show you where these people are coming from if they're going to your site. And that is all. Sam, you can come back now.
Thanks, Meara. Sorry, I popped in a little early there. Great presentation. I specifically remember you explaining TikTok to me in 2019. I did not quite understand it then, but I am totally addicted to it now. So I think it's safe to say that I get it. So it was a really illuminating presentation as well. All right, so again, feel free to jot some questions down in the Q&A chat, and we're going to get to our official Q&A session. So Rafael, feel free to come back and we can talk, and I'll ask questions. Some are directed specifically at Meara, some directed specifically at Rafael, but feel free to jump in and cross over and, make it a nice conversational piece. So, all right, so let's just get started. This one is for Rafael. All right, how can telling a story about your brand help customers understand themselves better?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have a service, a product, or some type of technology that you're trying to impress upon people, it's usually because it helps them, right? So if there's a way that you can showcase how it's actually helping them in internal perspective and maybe even externally, right? I mean, most of the times we're working with B2B, or if it's a B2C company, you're directly talking about how your service or product is going to help them, right? So if you can shape your story around what that person is, what they're struggling with, that's going to hook them in and then give you the opportunity to say, hey, listen, this is how we can connect, because we want to help you actually accomplish that goal. So.
Yeah, and I liked what you said about basically presenting people with the problems that they may not know that they have, and then offering yourself as your business as a guide to those problems. So sort of presenting it and then solving it in the same breath, I think is important.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, they have problems, but most of us don't like to admit it, right? But when your friend tells you something that hits and connects and you're like, oh, that made me feel some type of way, like maybe I should listen, then that's when you're doing your job. I mean, you don't want them to just be like, oh, wow, that's an amazing company. You want them to say, dang, that's totally me. Like that's your goal.
Definitely. Okay, perfect. I'll switch off back and forth. So this one is for Meara. How can we show off our staff and services while still being authentic in the TikTok platform?
So this is actually super easy. You can decide if you want to do a meme, if you want to do an original video. There's lots of businesses who like to show off their staff doing kind of like skits, like the office style, or, just introducing them. There's a meme where it's like naming a few people and it's like, you ready? Let's go. So you could use that to show off a few people. But I mean, TikTok, like I showed you, you can use memes and you could just do it on your own. So, or there's another one where it's like the Full House intro and people are just like doing funny things. So that'd be a great way to show off the people at your company or the services that you have. It's kind of just seeing what's trending and being like, all right, how can I apply this? How can I make this work to us?
Just to piggyback on that, is there any sort of standard amount of time that you think that a meme will last on TikTok, or are they pretty rapid fire, or do they last a long time, or does it depend, or what?
I appreciate you asking this because I totally meant to bring this up in my presentation and I forgot to mention it this time. But memes are fleeting on TikTok, and they'll come back in cycles. Like things that were popular a year ago, people might be like, "Oh, vintage, bring it back." But for the most part, a big thing that you see is businesses like to have control and send their TikToks up the chain of command for approval, and you can't do that. By the time the last person gives approval, that video will come back and that meme will be gone. It will be evolved. The people will know. That's when you're inauthentic, is when the people know, like, oh, several people had to approve this.
When it just feels kind of a few weeks old. I think that that's a big benefit of Dave from the Washington Post, who I'm a huge fan of, as you know. It just seems like he's just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that TikTok that I showed at the very beginning with the like cowboy Western music, that meme is done. Like I could not post that video today and get results on it because it's done.
Yeah.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
It's interesting. Okay, switching back to Rafael. And feel free to jump in on either of these questions as well. What's the most important information to communicate as a company? I mean, you talked about being a guide, but what do you think is really the key thing that you're trying to get across?
I think probably just that you understand the problem, right? Like that you understand what they go through. That for me is critical, because that's going to be the entryway for all of your ability to sell whatever you have, right? If I don't even think that you can solve my problem, or I don't see, you know, you're only talking about you, right? There's a time and a place. Don't get me wrong. You know, like we are emotional. We make decisions based on emotions, but we rationalize them based on logic, right? So we have to use that kind of duality and say, hey, like, let's hook them with the emotional part where we're basically showing them themselves, but then let's show the proof in the pudding, right? So when it comes to that opportunity, you got to figure out, you know, what are the things that ultimately what's going to answer that question, and which is, once you know me and you know my problem, you know, why should I listen to you? Like, there's other people that can do that. So, you know, whether that's, again, a plan, you have a package, you have a specific service, right? I mean, even the way that you name your services, you know, like, for example, like Apple, you know, it's debatable whether Apple is the greatest technology company, right? But they're fundamentally, they're one of the easiest to understand, right? So even how you name your package, for example, you know, let's use Apple. You know, they don't have invisible data transfer, right? They just call it airdrop because it makes more sense when you say airdrop. It sounds like, okay, I get to just drop it off in the air. Like, it's that simple. So the easier it is for people to understand how your problem, how your solution satisfies their problem. And it's not about why you're the best, right? You can be just the guide from a distance, you know, like, hey, we want you to be the hero. Okay. We're just here to help you because we know people like you have this problem. And so, like, here's a solution. And if you want to trust us, well, here's our experience. You know, we've worked with some of these people, or, you know, we've dealt with people that look just like you. You know, if you're an industry specific niche down service, right? You can say, hey, we help other small business owners just like you, you know? So that ability for you to connect on there. And then once they're open and receptive to it, give them, you know, what ultimately your plan is and how they're going to accomplish it, then you're off to the races.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I've got one last question, and this was not actually asked, but I just thought of it, and I think it's a good kind of crossover question. Okay. So I'd like you both to speak to this about how, Rafael, your hero's journey that you laid out with the guide and the plan, do you see that in TikTok at all? And do you see that format being played out at all? And if so, what do you think brands can do to kind of take advantage of it? And Meara, feel free to jump in as well. I don't know how familiar you are with TikTok, Rafael, besides just that presentation.
The TikTok expert, but
yeah.
I will say that based on what she said, which makes a lot of sense, right? That it's more of a top of the funnel type of piece of communication. The awareness piece is really, I mean, the emphasis of this talk, right? Which is, how can you be more human, right? And if you're following trends and you're a company, then you're pretty human, right? I mean, if we exist to personify organizations, we want to make them more like people. So if people are hopping on trends and they're sharing their memes, or there's something viral going on, and you have the ability just to participate in the conversation, you know, then you're going to feel like you want to connect, right? I think it might be a little more difficult, Meara, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to try and sell, you know, like right after you hook somebody and then be like, hey, come buy my stuff, right? Because they're gonna be like, you only did that meme not because you're a person, but because you were trying to sell me the whole time. That's just maybe my perception. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely, like, especially if you have a product, like, you can sell that on TikTok easily. But I feel like with Rafael's structure, with the longer form, people are like, wow, that's me. But on TikTok, they're more like, haha, me. You know, like they still want to connect to it in some way. And the jokes and the memes make it funnier, but you can see that in the examples that I shared, it is about that emotional connection still. Like with the fertility clinic, like that was like a great, like, tear-jerking moment. And it didn't have to be this long story, but they basically saw, like, oh, it's a fertility clinic. Like, people are having trouble conceiving children. And they could see that this doctor was the guide. And he had the plan. We saw them reaching the end of it, but we were able to infer just by what was going on, what the struggle had been. And people who can immediately identify with that struggle were able to fill it in themselves and could know, like, okay, this guy can do it for me.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the money question right there, right? I mean, it's, if you're a woman who's, I mean, I have 2 women in my family in the last year that have experienced this journey of IVF and trying to overcome infertility. And I'm just like putting myself in their shoes. If I see this, right, and I'm struggling with that, and I see this guy's got a plan and he understands me because he knows that it's a big challenge in my life and it's something that really matters to me. You know, he went the extra mile to show me what success looks like, which is to tell his whole team, yo, we succeeded, you know, like that's so cool. So I think that's a perfect example of how you can integrate those two things. And like you said, it doesn't have to be a super complex story. I mean, you know the character because she's on the phone, and you see the guide because he's the one telling, and then you see the plan and you see the success, and that's it. You know, 20 seconds is enough, you know?
Yeah.
So that was an awesome video.
Perfect. I am beyond thrilled with how well that those two presentations connected with each other. And I think you all both did a fantastic job. So I think let's wrap it up there because we're out of time. And so I just want to say thank you again, Rafael. Thank you again, Meara. And just before we leave, I just want to say again that, excuse me, that Rafael is the Chief Creative Officer at IPCOMM Agency, helping brands establish effective strategies to clarify their message and grow their business. But I would like you, Rafael, to say a little bit about your business before we sign off here.
Yeah, so we're a creative branding agency, and basically this story that we've shared with you today and how it works is really just the first step. Now, we definitely want to empower people to tell better stories, and our reasoning behind that is because we want to amplify the messengers, right? So whether you hire us or not, that's up to you, right? Once you know your story, that's just the start, right? Now you have to capture it, you got to design it, you have to communicate it, you have to create the content around it, and you have to really understand who your audience is and what their challenges are. So that's one of our favorite things to do, and we just call it brand strategy, where we'll set up a discovery session to understand what exactly that you're trying to accomplish and who you're trying to accomplish it for, and then design the communication around that by implementing a creative strategy around it. So that's what we're passionate about. We love telling stories, and we want to fill the world with better communications, because if we can help more people communicate better, then on the receiving end, we're going to see more communications that help us, right? And so that's just an evolutionary circle that we want to play a part in. So if you guys need that help, reach out. We're happy to help you guys out. And again, thank you so much. I mean, we're honored and humbled to be a part of this webinar. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you. And go follow them online. That was an amazing presentation. All right. So, and then again, Meara McNitt is the Senior Social Media Strategist at Online Optimism, a full service digital marketing agency with offices in New Orleans and Atlanta. You can find our organization at onlineoptimism.com or on Twitter at Online Optimism. And that's about it. Don't forget to sign up for our last webinar next week. This is the end of a 6-part series coming up. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and we'll be posting this link online so you can always come back to it. But thanks again to you both. Really appreciate it. Great job. Bye, everyone.
Have a good week. Bye.